Today, we're going to step inside a pretty incredible and deeply personal journey. We've got a 30-day diary from a bone marrow transplant patient. And through his words, we're going to get a raw, unfiltered look at what the road to recovery actually looks like, day by day. Every single day for 30 days, his diary entry starts with this exact sentence. This isn't just a statement, it's a hope, it's a mantra. It's like hitting a reset button every morning for a body and mind that are in the middle of this monumental fight. It's the baseline, and everything else that happens that day is measured against it. And believe me, it is a roller coaster. This is not one of those simple stories where things just get a little better every day. Nope. This is a story of incredible highs, immediately followed by these sudden, jarring lows. It's about resilience, sure, but also frustration and the true, messy, non-linear path of what it really means to heal. All right, so let's jump in. Our story picks up around day 59 after the transplant. The patient's out of the hospital, he's trying to find a new rhythm. And in this new kind of normal, progress isn't measured in these huge leaps and bounds. It's all about the small, incredibly meaningful victories. Now, this number, 6.7 kilometers per hour, what makes it so powerful is the story behind it. On this day, day 61, he actually wrote in his diary that he was feeling weak before his walk. But he went anyway. He pushed through, and he didn't just walk, he set a new personal record. I mean, that's a perfect example of the mental strength you need when your body is telling you no. For most of us, eating a piece of cheese, we don't even think about it, right? Well, for him, on day 60, this was a landmark event, a huge sign of returning to normalcy. Regaining these simple, everyday pleasures, that's when you really feel like you're getting your life back. It's just a little taste of freedom. But just as things were starting to feel routine, just as that progress was feeling steady, everything changed. A sudden and pretty severe setback was just this harsh reminder of how fragile this whole recovery process really is. Just look at this contrast. It's jarring. We're talking less than 2 weeks between these two moments. From the simple joy of eating cheese to what he calls his absolute worst night since leaving the hospital. And it was all triggered by a severe intestinal issue. This right here, this is the roller coaster in its starkest form. And you can just feel the devastation in his words. The toll here wasn't just physical, it was deeply emotional. It was the feeling that all that progress he'd made was just completely erased. All those small victories, that new personal best walking speed, it must have felt like they were all stolen away in an instant. Okay, so behind the feelings and the walks and the food, there's a constant stream of medical data. He's tracking his blood work, his molecular results. Let's take a minute and actually look at the numbers that are truly driving this whole recovery. It's a good question, right? When you feel terrible one day and then better the next, how do you really know if you're winning the fight? Well, the answer is in the blood work. It's in the bone marrow samples. These numbers, they're the objective truth. So before we dive into the specific numbers, we need to understand this term, GVHD. Think of it like a tightrope walk. You need the new immune system, the graft, to be aggressive enough to kill any leftover cancer cells, but you don't want it to be so aggressive that it starts attacking the patient's healthy body. It's an incredibly delicate balance. Our patient had some signs of it on his skin, which thankfully faded, but managing this risk is a constant concern. Okay, this table tells a really powerful story. On day 62, before the intestinal problem, the numbers are decent, but look at the platelets. They're pretty low at 71,000. But then, fast forward to day 81, after he's recovered from the illness, and wow, what a rebound. White blood cells are up, and his platelets have almost doubled. This is a crystal clear sign that the new marrow is working and it's recovering strong. But this is the number that matters most. This is the molecular result from a bone marrow sample taken right as that setback was starting. It shows the percentage of leukemia cells that are left, and 0.069% is incredibly low. That's a fantastic number. But see, to really understand why this number is so huge, you have to know that this patient has relapsed before. He has personally watched this exact same value climb from what seemed like a safe 0.2% to an overwhelming 122%. So while 0.069% is absolutely a reason for cautious optimism, the only number that is ever going to bring true peace of mind is 0.
So, as if battling a life-threatening illness isn't enough to deal with, right? Well, the world outside the hospital doesn't stop, and a completely different kind of challenge emerged, one that had absolutely nothing to do with medicine.
I mean, you really can't make this stuff up. While he's literally at the transplant center for a mandatory checkup, a medical inspector shows up at his house for a surprise visit. He then gets a letter demanding he prove where he was, and it turns out the entire problem was caused by a simple clerical error, a doctor mischecking a single box on a form. And this is his take on it, and he hits the nail on the head. The burden of dealing with these complicated, flawed systems ends up falling on the one person who is least equipped to handle it. It's this added layer of stress and, frankly, injustice that bureaucracy can pile on people when they are at their absolute most vulnerable. So despite the physical setbacks and all those bureaucratic frustrations, the journey moves forward. In the final days of this diary, we start to see this shift towards the future, and it's marked by cautious optimism and some really unexpected changes. On day 87, he makes a plan. He actually sets a date to go back to work. And after everything he has been through, this is about so much more than just a job. This is about identity, about purpose, and about taking a massive step back into the life he had before this all began. And then, toward the end of the diary, he notices something profound. He sees that freckles he's had on his skin for decades from a bad sunburn he got when he was 19 are just disappearing. The new immune system from his donor is literally cleaning up his skin. That simple observation just captures the depth of this whole transformation. The transplant wasn't just a treatment. It was a fundamental reset of his entire biological identity. The new marrow didn't just save his life. It's rewriting who he is, right down to the surface of his skin. So as this 30-day window closes, his journey is clearly nowhere near over. He's still fighting, still monitoring, still healing. And it leaves us with this question to think about. Is healing just about getting a lab result of 0? Or is it also about this profound, unexpected transformation into a new version of yourself?